Hi there, welcome to Tarot Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Gemini energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. So the top row I refer to as high vibe Gemini energy. The bottom row a more worldly, shadowy Gemini energy. Because we've all got our dualistic nature and we have to make decisions in our life. And in our more high vibrational nature of having hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in others and in love and in our dreams, in our more worldly nature of our fear and our insecurity and our pride or our ego or our lust or our greed or our immaturity or whatever that people might deal with, it can stop them from moving forward in life in a more high vibrational way. The truth sets us free, so you kind of have to work through those issues that manipulate you to keep you living your life the way you live it, or thinking about life the way you think about it, or the thoughts and emotions you choose to sit in every day. You know, we've got free will. And the bottom row can just represent we're happy kind of living our life the way we're living it, and we're not ready to move forward in life any differently. You know, we're all kind of called to move forward in life at different times, and sometimes when we're ready to move forward, other people aren't. A lot of times that's fine. We wish them peace, they wish us peace, but it's harder if some of the people we would like to have move forward with us, a long-term friend or a romantic interest or something, we really like those people to kind of keep moving forward with us, and they want us to move forward with them, and we're kind of moving forward. You know, are we willing to keep putting in the work and effort to believe in the dream, basically? So the reason for the top row's reading is the snake card, which is also the reason why the reading came out. And this card says Scorpio, and Scorpio is emotional water sign energy, and it can talk about these deep emotional attachments we have with people, but also our deep emotional attachments to maybe a way of viewing life. I also view the snake card as the Seven of Swords, which is Gemini, or I mean Aquarius energy, also air sign energy. Gemini is air sign energy. Which has to do with our dreams and how we view the world, and kind of, you know, are we kind of more about ourselves? Are we kind of more caught up in the world? Do we look at life from a higher perspective? Don't we? And emotionally, you know, we're kind of really attached to those ways of viewing life. And Gemini energy is about our dualistic nature and kind of what our truth is. Are we kind of more still caught up in things of the world, and that's kind of what's most important? Or are we, or are other people kind of more about themselves, or kind of egotistical more and want to be indulged in a relationship? Are they in a relationship with someone else? You know, are we on the same page? Is our truth the same? Other people are more motivated and inspired by love, and they do look at life differently. They're not as caught up in things of the world, making their life more about ego and image or indulgence or self-centeredness or looking like a shining star in the world. It's more like, I want to live my authentic life in truth and love. And, you know, we've been in relationships with people, and, you know, we viewed life differently. So the reason for the bottom row reading is the House card, which I view as Four of Wands, Aries energy, which also Aries energy is about the self. And everybody has to make these decisions within themselves. The Seven of Swords, this card kind of being like the Seven of Swords, can be, you know, it's confusing. Scorpio can talk about how it's emotionally confusing. We have a lot of complexity to us. We're emotionally complex human beings. Do we want these things of the world, and a lot of these things of the world that we want? Yes. Do we also want just, fair, balanced, loving relationships? Are we deluding ourselves? Are we staying in jobs and friendships and relationships with people who their dream is different than our dream? Their truth is different than our truth? They might be a little bit more about themselves. Because love is supposed to be where you treat other people the way you like to be treated. And you have gotten out of being more about yourself to believe in that dream and in love. And some people aren't there yet. But are we seeing the truth? Let's go look at the top row reading. I'm curious because it ends with the devil card here. So we start out with the mature woman, and the way I read tarot, so you can kind of apply it to everyone in your life, is that the masculine energies can represent how we present ourselves in the world, and might be how we're viewed and the kind of action that we're taking in the world. Because when we go present ourselves in the world, it is considered masculine energy. But the feminine figures talk about kind of what ultimately drives and motivates us, how we think and feel. So, you know, anybody in relationship to other people could be more emotionally mature than other people, right? We could do this reading and you could be in the high vibe position in relationship to some other people in your life, because you could view them as kind of more immature, bossy, controlling, materialistic, self-indulgent, egotistical. Well, those people in turn in relationship to people in their life could be more high vibrational, because they have some people in their life too that they feel are more bossy and immature or egotistical, right? So it is kind of relative, and everybody can kind of move forward in life, but it doesn't mean we're still on the same page, because life is about learning these lessons in life. And if some people are more independent of their shadowy nature, pride, ego, fear, insecurity, codependency, bossy, controlling, self-centered, egotistical nature, they might be further along the road. Other people could free themselves from some things, and they're on the journey of learning some lessons. But we're all trying to find people who are kind of on the same page as us, on our same kind of emotional maturity level, or as we are, right? And we're not all on the same page. Can we get along with those people and be friends with them and work with them? Yes. But would we want to get in a more involved relationship with some of them? No. But if we're emotionally kind of mature, we can treat other people with respect and love. We just accept that they are where they're at. We can't expect, like, you could be a parent to children. You can't expect children are going to make the same decisions maybe that an adult would make, right? And so you just can be loving and respectful and encouraging, but you just accept that they're kind of at the emotional maturity level that they are. So we have emotionally mature people who are like a gift and blessing to people, just like anybody can be to other people in their life who might be kind of more immature in some way, right? We're trying to help other people. The high vibe way is I just offer people love and encouragement and truth in love, to be a loving and encouraging person, and hope that they in turn emotionally choose to love and believe in themselves. And success in love, which I'm kind of looking at as like a Two of Cups energy and high vibe energy is about being more balanced within yourself, helping other people to be more balanced within themselves, loving yourself enough to maintain balance within yourself. If you're tipped out of balance, which is what the bottom row can be, you're indulging poor behavior in yourself or in other people. And high vibe people have learned, if I indulge poor behavior in myself, I'm probably going to get myself in relationships with some people who in their own way are kind of tipped out of balance, who are happy I'm tipped out of balance, because then I'll stay in a relationship with them. And I've learned these lessons. I view the mature woman as like a Queen of Pentacles, and when someone is holding the one pentacle in high vibe, it would mean that they've learned lessons in life. And in high vibe, it's learning to align with your more loving, intuitive, creative, inspired, hopeful, believing nature. Because we do have free will, and we can choose to get caught up in the illusion of the world and make our life more about ourselves or these things of the world, and we can look victorious and successful in the world. But I think the purpose of this life is for us to see the truth, that there's a higher truth and justice to aspire to. And if we really want our dreams to come into reality, we have to quit being manipulated emotionally by our more worldly nature. We can settle for the more worldly dream, or we can align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature, which is offered to us as a gift, but we have the free will to decide what our truth is and what our truth isn't. And high vibe people have learned to love themselves, give themselves the things that they wish other people would have given them, learn the lessons that they've learned. You know, we come in contact with all these different people in the world to help us get more clear about what our truth is and isn't. And we probably all dealt with some people that were more emotionally deceptive and manipulative. You know, there can be shadowy people in the world who want to be in relationships with more just, fair, loving, nurturing, supportive, authentic, encouraging people. Perfect. I want to be in a relationship with you, but I haven't done that work within myself. But I don't want you to see the truth. So shadowy people is kind of like creating the illusion that they're a more just, fair, stable, grounded, emotionally mature, loving person than they really are. But they're really kind of more about themselves. And it's kind of to indulge themselves in a relationship with people who are more loving and nurturing and all that. Because then if they can move forward in a relationship with them, it makes it look like they're that type of person. But they're really not. Look, I'm more stable and grounded. Look, I've healed. Look, I've grown. I've matured. Look, I'm emotionally mature. Look. And it's, you know, but it's kind of by getting in relationships with people who are like that, it makes them seem like that. But that's not really the truth of who they are. And we have to learn these lessons in life. And we can get in relationships with people like that because you can be an emotionally nurturing, loving person. And you're like, oh my gosh, look at that person who's kind of fearful or insecure or kind of bossy or controlling or immature and or impulsive and indulgent or got addictions or whatever they got. I'm going to change them. I'm going to change the devil. And that's us deceiving ourselves. If people were more, but we have to learn those lessons, right? If people were more motivated and inspired by love, they'd be a more loving, giving person. If they were interested in growing and maturing themselves, they'd be a more emotionally mature, self-disciplined person, right? And so we kind of deceive ourselves because we think that, I mean, love is the highest energy of all, and that is the answer, but we can't deceive ourselves and think that we can change people. All we can do is be in the energy of being loving and encouraging and supportive. Those other people have free will. And some of those people, they are the way they are because that is what they chose to emotionally invest in. That's their truth. And we should quit being in denial of seeing the truth because we just deceive ourselves. And those people are happy to manipulate us so long as we stay in denial of the truth and don't listen to our intuition. And they get to indulge in a relationship, you thinking one day they'll change, and they're like, yeah, I'm not changing. But as long as you don't want to see the truth of it, and I keep being more superficial, shallow, bossy, controlling, prideful, emotionally shallow, superficial, whatever, hey, you want to keep being in a relationship, this works for me. I look like a shining star. The devil got in a relationship with a loving person. And so long as we keep deceiving ourselves, we keep moving forward in it. Some people could be doing that right now. They could be a loving person, hoping that one day other people will change. In a typical Seven of Swords card, the person is holding the 5 swords, which the 5, the 6, and the 7 are all Aquarius energy. Again, I have a dream. The devil can talk about we're attracted to people, you know, or just that we love them. And we don't want them to get caught up in things that manipulate them. Well, high vibe energy is seeing through the illusion, dealing with the truth. Everybody has lessons learned in life. I can't make other people work through their own mental conflict. They're wanting to stay in denial of the truth about what manipulates them, or if they don't want to see the truth, that they're more self-focused, ego-focused, materialistically focused, bossy or controlling or whatever, until they're willing to acknowledge that truth within themselves, it's going to keep manipulating them. And we've had our own issues that manipulate us. And until we were willing to deal with the truth of it and see how it was kind of keeping us stuck, because the devil is like a roadblock, right? It tries to stop us, get us up in our head, keep us. If the devil can imprison one person in our life that we have love for, then like the devil keeps two people stuck. And it's like, I'm not going to let me stay stuck. High vibe energy is being a leader in the world. I can love people and distance myself from those people. I can love people, wish them peace, love, and maybe move away from them. I don't have to try to tell other people their issues. Because we all have been there, right? And we've all had people in our life, like when we were younger, honey, why are you doing that? And why are you doing these things? And why are you hanging out with these people? And why don't you love and believe in yourself? I mean, until we're ready to and have worked through our own issues, I mean, it's nice to have people in your life that tell you, I love and believe in you, and I believe that I wish you the best, and I think you're really talented, or whatever, that people can want to tell you. But people can try to make you look at life differently. But, we all have our own dreams. Our dreams are different than other people's dreams. We have our own challenges to overcome and our own lessons learned that could be different than other people have their issues that they need to overcome. We're all on our own unique journey, right, of working through this game of life. So, high vibe energy saw some truth. They felt someone was being deceptive or manipulative in some way, or just seeing that your truth is different than my truth. Your idea of the dream life, the dream relationship, whatever, is different. And I can feel proud of myself, because if I know I acted in truth and love and was willing to work cooperatively with people in love, and I see some people aren't ready to do that and they're not at that place yet, I wish you peace. I have a dream. My dream can only come into reality with people who are kind of on the same page as I am. High vibe energy at the big picture, represented by God, wants to give birth to new things. Shadowy energy, represented by the devil, doesn't want to give birth to new things, like the devil trying to stop God from giving birth to new things. If the devil can snag one person, all the people that kind of love that person could kind of get tangled up in the web. High vibe energy is, I wish you peace and love and joy. I will stay in that energy because that's high vibrational energy. Though I might have my own fears about not trying to change you or make you see things differently or make you align with me versus whoever you're aligning with or whatever, I'm not going to stay in denial of the truth. Everybody has their life to live. I have my life to live. I'm going to keep moving forward, listening to love and intuition to guide the decisions I make. And the people in my life who might be being manipulated by their own fears, their own insecurities, other people in their life, in their lust, in their greed, in their ego, in their defensiveness, whatever, and until they work through that, I'm going to keep moving forward in my life. And because the whole thing is, if any of you have gotten kind of caught up in some things, the devil is about all those things that limit us, restrict us, confine us, imprison us. It takes a lot of work and emotional maturity and putting in this work and effort to love and believe in yourself and believe in your dreams, to not let those things keep kind of getting a stranglehold on you. And some of you could have put in a lot of work and effort to you know how hard it is, basically, is what I'm saying. And the Queen of Pentacles holding the pentacle, that means they have to do that inner work within themselves. Why don't I love and believe in myself? Why don't I believe in my dreams? Why do I indulge poor behavior in myself? Why do I indulge poor behavior in others? Do I believe that there's more to work with in this world than just what the world tries to tell me, which the devil is kind of in control of the world? I think I have more things to work with in this world than just what the world tells me. I was given the gift of creativity, imagination, hope, and faith, and I believe there is another power like to work with in this world of duality that wants to give birth to new things, that works with me to help me bring new things into reality. But I have to get out of being so manipulated by my more worldly nature to look at life from a higher perspective, put things in perspective. Don't get so caught up in my head and my fears and my insecurities. Have some hope and faith and belief that there is a higher power in this world of duality that wants to work with me to give birth to new things, that doesn't want people to keep repeating these old patterns. You know, because if we'd all kept repeating old patterns, we'd all be cavemen today. But we were given creativity and imagination and our intuition, all these things to help guide us in this world. And we are these emotionally complex human beings. We can feel great love, and some people choose to reject that. In our free will nature, we can choose to reject listening to our intuition. We can choose to not be the deep, emotional, complex human beings we are. And shadowy Scorpio can be more emotionally shallow and superficial. Anybody can harness that energy. People can choose to be more caught up in things of the world and money and materialism. People can choose to like to be in more codependent relationships where you don't love and believe in your dreams, and then they get to be the more bossy or controlling or manipulative person. They use these things of the world to try to manipulate and control you. You know, just like employers can do that in a job. Well, you won't leave this job, and you know, this job has status or image or money. I can be basically controlling or immature or bossy or egotistical or whatever, and you'll stay because I think you have mental conflict about loving and believing in yourself. Well, we can all be in those situations, and for a long time we can stay in them, and we can kind of throughout years, you know, because we have these, you know, we kind of learn lessons kind of slowly over time. And, you know, it takes a while to learn one lesson, and then we go get another jobs, friendships, and relationships, and we're learning more lessons. But the whole thing is, if we keep, now the snake is kind of reminding me of the weaving path and kind of the spiral that, you know, we'll kind of move forward in life, but then we might kind of touch back to see if something is different or has changed, and it hasn't maybe, so we move forward, or we kind of can take 3 steps forward, 2 steps back to kind of get our bearings, or maybe we're not sure, maybe I do want to live my life the way I was living it, and then it's like nope, and then we move 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, and kind of that winding motion of a snake, right? But if we keep putting in the work and effort, letting the dream that we have and love guide us, we're going to overcome the things within ourselves that try to stop us. And when we because it really is all about ourself in a way, that when we, in the sense that when we overcome these things within us that kind of manipulate and control us and tempt us, and we offer love to those things, and we emotionally mature ourselves and learn to be like a good parent to ourselves, naturally the people in our life who wanted to also stop us because they're still in that phase of life or way of viewing life to some degree that kind of tempted us, or in some degree we were in some kind of shadowy energy, we eventually are able to move past it, and some of the things that used to tempt us in our life no longer tempt us, and we've moved on to kind of the next phase of life. And then if we have people in our life who were trying to deceive us or manipulate us, they see the truth that they can't deceive and manipulate us anymore, and they got to go find someone else to deceive and manipulate. And some of those people are trying to go deceive and manipulate someone else right now, you know? And that person is the next person who has to do, it's kind of like God uses all people for God's good purposes. Oh, look, these people are kind of shadowy or bossy or immature. They might have some of these things of the world. They might be charming or attractive, have money, have social power or clout, right? They are going to be someone, and the devil, again, can talk about people that we're drawn and attracted to because they do have some of these traits or characteristics. But we also can be drawn towards people because they are the people that has certain ways about them that will require us to face these issues within ourselves. So it's kind of like that these different things that happen in our life can all be used for our good purposes if we're willing to get out of our ego about it and to see the valuable life lessons we learn from it, even the hurtful and unkind people. God knows you have a dream. Negative energy, kind of within yourself, your own shadow nature, negative energy in the world is going to try to stop you from shining your light in the world. And when we do this work to love our own more immature, shadowy, fearful nature, be like a good parent to ourselves, so then we're out of more codependent energy where we're looking to other people to play that role in our life, and we've learned to play that role in our own life. We've like a snake sheds its skin, we've shed an old layer of ourselves, and we're that much closer because we did do this work within ourselves. Less things manipulate us that used to manipulate us. Our shadow nature always is trying to kind of manipulate us. And there's always, it's kind of like if you were to look at life as a video game where you have to overcome a certain level and overcome these obstacles to go to the next level of life. At that next level of life, it's going to challenge you again. The devil can just talk about our fears. There's some people right now that could like to be in a relationship with people, but because of their own fears and insecurities, they don't maybe want to detach from one job, friendship, or relationship they're in to believe in themselves, to go to that next level of life, because that next level of life is kind of going to bring up new issues that we have to deal with, right? And some people could be kind of loving people, but they could kind of be staying in their comfort zone because maybe I would have to get out of, seeing these things and within myself and the world and other people that kind of manipulate me. I am in my comfort zone, and people are going to stay in their comfort zone until it becomes, it's kind of like we do have free will and we can do what we want in a way. There's going to be consequences for the decisions we make in our life. But if we're staying in denial of the truth, things will get worse and worse in a way. To try to either break us down completely to get us in much more shadowy energy, kind of like an addiction. But people can become addicted to a lot of things: money, materialism, fear, insecurity, codependency. And it gets worse and worse because the devil wants it all, right? And sometimes we get in relationships with people who want it all, and they don't want us to love and believe in ourselves. You're supposed to make your life all about me, all about me. And love is supposed to be where we love and encourage each other to, we all have our own unique talents, skills, and interests and gifts that we have to offer the world. And some people are like, no, I make my life more about conforming to the world. You're not supposed to give birth to anything new. We're supposed to conform to the world. And that's my dream. And you're supposed to do life like this because that's how I do life. And it's like, but that's not my dream. I'm not as caught up in those things as you are caught up in. And those things that could manipulate people could become kind of more and more of an obsession, if they're looking to those things of the world to be the answer to making them feel like I look like a boss in the world. Look how successful I am. People should love me. People should pay attention to me. People should find me charming and attractive, it'll become worse and worse, and their being in denial of the truth could become worse and worse, and that's their own journey. So we wish people peace in an energy of love, but I'm not going to stay in workplaces and friendships and relationships where I think people are being deceptive or manipulative or controlling or egotistical, or their dream is just different than my dream. I wish you peace, but that's not my dream. I'm not all about being consumed. Do I like everybody? Yes. I want some stability and security in my life. Am I willing to sacrifice love to have those things? No, but some people are. Those things are the most important thing in their life. Or being indulged, or being more about themselves. You mean I'd have to look at life from a higher perspective? I can't live more from my mind? I'd actually really have to emotionally invest in other people and treat them in a just and fair manner. And sometimes we can be in relationships with people for a long time because we do have all these things to kind of negotiate emotionally, and are we kind of compatible in like Aquarius, Gemini energy of our different truths that we have, and we can move forward in friendships, relationships, and workplaces with people for a long time. Until it does get down to that core foundational truth. And also Gemini energy is represented by the 8, the 9, and the 10 of Swords, which can be about closing out an old cycle of life to give birth to that new cycle of life. Take the lessons that we've learned here to move forward in life with those lessons, taking the good building blocks, leaving behind the things that we used to think were really important that we've kind of learned. These are the essential building blocks. And I'm going to keep moving forward, having hope and faith and belief in my dreams, and shedding what was kind of unhealthy or restrictive or oppressive or imprisoning or superficial and shallow or more fearful and insecure and codependent. I'm going to move on from that. And we did that, like I referenced, I almost can't help mentioning it in all my videos, but we did that same thing when we went from age 15 to age 18, and 18 to 21, and 21 to 25. We had to face our fears, loving ourselves enough emotionally to be ready to face our fears, to move forward in life and kind of step into unknown territory. I do not want to repeat this old pattern. I don't want to live like a 15 or an 18 or a 21 or a 25-year-old all my life. If I find myself in jobs, friendships, or relationships where people are being in a way that isn't aligned with my truth, isn't my idea of the dream life, dream relationship, and I feel like I offered truth and love and I can be proud of myself, well, then I might be in relationships with some people that aren't ready to move forward in life differently. And instead of being truthful and offering love to the situation, they might try to make me stop loving and believing in myself, to make me keep staying in a situation, or be manipulative or deceptive or bossy or controlling. We had the free will in, again, the 7 of Swords. The person is holding the 5 swords, and then there's the 2 swords there that we have free will. What decision are you going to make when you have mental conflict and there's an issue to be dealt with, am I willing to look at life from a higher perspective? I and the other people in my life had their ideas of how they imagined life was going to go and how people were going to invest their time, energy, and action and what they thought was important. And now we kind of have some differences of opinion. High vibe people offer truth and love in the Two of Swords, which is Libra energy, about what we think is just and fair. In our Gemini energy, though, we have the free will to pick. Do I choose truth and love and justice and fairness and treating other people the way I like to be treated? Or do I think it's just and fair to choose my more shadowy nature? Being manipulative, being bossy, being controlling, being deceptive, being manipulative, not speaking my truth. The truth is what could heal a situation, that could illuminate things, that where people could bring it out into the open. But we can all have things that we, like the devil, doesn't want people to see the truth of. We can all have fears and insecurities, or be more prideful, be more egotistical, be more bossy, be more controlling. And then people kind of don't want to deal with it within themselves and acknowledge the truth of it. And then they don't want other people to know that they could grapple with these issues. And so then, they maybe keep it hidden and other people move on and they could feel stuck. But if they're not kind of willing to deal with those issues, or this is how they view being the ideal relationship, I don't have to do that inner work within myself. All I have to do is get in a relationship with someone who's loving and nurturing. They'll put all this work and effort to try to make a relationship work. And they may never want, in their ego, they might be willing to stay in a relationship even when they realize that I'm not who I said I was, because of their own ego and image. And then a shadowy person has kind of gotten a more loving person trapped in a relationship. Well, those people have their own free will to stay in it or not. But that's sometimes what shadowy people are counting on. If I can get someone to put work and effort in a relationship, and if there's someone who's authentic and loving and nurturing, they put a lot of work and effort to try to make something victorious and successful, to make that dream work. I'm counting on that. You keep putting in that work and effort. It works for me. As long as it's good for my ego and my image, and you're being loving and encouraging and supportive to try to get me to move along with you in that way, I will, but I'm not on the same page as you. And you will not have your dream come into reality because you're not in a relationship with someone who has that same way of living life as you. We are opposing. We're building a foundation from an opposing foundation, and a house divided can't stand. And then, because that's kind of like an injustice, everybody can have a lot of mental conflict about it. But eventually, the high vibe people might just say, it's kind of like Judgment Day. I have been loving and encouraging and supportive, and I see nothing changes, and I have this dream, and this is how I am moving forward. And if that is not your truth, then I wish you peace and I'm moving on. Or, because God knows what the high vibe person's dream is, someone might pop up to kind of tempt the more worldly or immature or bossy or whatever people, to get them to say, this isn't your truth anyway. Don't move forward with them. Don't keep putting in this work and effort to make this work, because that's not really your truth. And then everybody could meet someone who is more aligned with their truth. The devil can just be these things that make us face our fears about maybe living our more authentic life. And the devil could have come into people's life where it's like, this isn't your truth. You have hope and faith and belief and love, and it helps illuminate that some of the people in your life don't. The other people could be tempted by people who are more, hey, I'll indulge you, or look what I have, or, I'm got status or image or power or whatever. I won't make you do that. You don't have to try to present yourself as this loving, nurturing, stable, grounded person when you're not really that person. And then they can be tempted to get in a relationship with someone who's more aligned with their truth. And people should live their truth, not live your authentic truth. Don't live a deception and an illusion. But some people are, it is all living from their mind. It is creating a social construct. I want to look like a shining star. These are the things I want to make me look victorious and successful. I want to be in a relationship. If some people think being in a relationship is what makes them look more victorious and successful, it can just be to get in a relationship for those reasons. Not because of love, but just because some people think that says something about their worth and value. Other people are like, I would like to be in a relationship, but I'm not willing to get in relationships with people for the wrong reasons. And I want to be available for when someone who really is someone who challenges me to really believe in myself and believe in my dreams that I'm attracted to, that I'm free to go get in a relationship with them. And other people are like, probably the more shadowy you are, the more codependent maybe to get in a relationship you might be, because you might lack hope and faith and belief and love in yourself, and could be in more codependent energy. And then a person could keep repeating that cycle because they just don't believe in their dreams, or more for ego and image. Let's jump down to the bottom row. So, the house card, which can be, people could be covering up in the poverty card. I view this as like the Five of Pentacles, and I view this as the Queen of Pentacles, both of them as Taurus energy. Taurus energy has to do with our philosophy of life. Are we more aligned with our worldly nature, or are we more aligned with our hopeful, believing nature? Which one is kind of in the driver's seat of our life? And some people could be covering up that they do kind of have a lack mentality, or they are more worldly or egoic focused than love focused. So then we have the bottom row, which is half-truths, child, adjudication, and a card not showing itself, which is the Mountain card, which the card talks about Capricorn energy, which the devil also is represented by Capricorn energy. We all have our more worldly, shadowy nature, which is what the devil can represent. But in order to free ourselves from our more immature, egotistical, codependent, fearful, insecure, whatever, we would have to harness high vibe Capricorn energy to free ourselves, because just like all the zodiac signs, we have our more high vibe energy of it, our more in between energy or trying to maintain balance, and then our more shadowy nature. There's some people who have decided, I'm not putting in work and effort to free myself from what manipulates me. That is my truth. That is what I align with. I might have a lack mentality. High vibe energy is about being more independent. This can be people who are still codependent on a foundation, which could be the world. I look to the world to validate my worth and value. It could be codependent on other foundations in their life, their friend group or their original family group. I do not know my own worth and value to become more independent, even though I might be 40, 50, or 60 years old. Those people are my primary foundation. I might get in relationships with other people. The King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married seed of the deck. I might even marry other people who seem to be like a blessing in my life, who love me, and I could even have love for them. But because I have fears and insecurities in the half-truths and the child card of loving and believing in myself, when you kind of look through kind of like a handheld type scope of some kind, telescope, it's kind of to look at the stars is what we think of when somebody looks through some type of object, right? And some people are like, nope, look, and this person is sitting down too. Like waiting for someone to come pick me up. Like I can't do it myself. And that for some people is the adjudication card, the judgment they decided. No, no, no. If I went to go pursue my dreams, for one, I might be judged, and I'm really codependent on the world and how they view me. I make my life maybe more conforming to the world. Or if there's other people in my life that they're not going to step ever out of their comfort zone, and they have a way of living life, and they're never going to do any life any differently, well, then I'm not going to do life any differently. I would have to detach from those people and give myself and love and believe in myself and emotionally grow and mature myself to face my fears, to go live my more authentic life. And some people are unwilling to do that. And they might know that some people in their life are kind of shadowy. Well, if you go live your life differently than we live our life, then you're done. We don't want anything to do with you. We're not going to work with you anymore. You're going to be out in the cold. We like to present ourselves as these loving, nurturing, supportive people, but if you go live your more authentic life and you don't stay caught up in the illusion and make your life about these things of the world and are maybe more superficial and shallow, and you really go shine your light in the world to be more emotionally mature and loving and nurturing, we don't want to live our life like that. We'll be like, damn, you changed. Who the hell are you? And then the whole thing is when people heal and grow and mature themselves and are more independent and live their more authentic life, treat other people the way they like to be treated in truth and love. They're not trying to manipulate people, not trying to control people, not wearing a false mask, not being deceptive and manipulative. It kind of... People who are more in those shadowy energies, they can tell that you're kind of not manipulated by the same things they are, that you are more emotionally mature, and they cannot like that. That you are more authentic and loving than they are, though they might, in their own ways, be loving and nurturing and supportive. It could be a little more superficial or shallow or for their own ulterior purposes, and it kind of illuminates the devil, and the devil doesn't like being illuminated. And that's when some people are like, nope, I'm not doing that. And I've seen other people even be discriminatory and hurtful. That the high vibe people could have wanted to move forward with some people, and those people shut them out. And they saw some high vibe people do this work within themselves to not let people who are deceptive, manipulative, hurtful, unkind, abusive, immature, lying, make them give up and believing in their dreams. The high vibe people just quit working with those people, because Capricorn energy is about putting in work and effort to move a relationship forward. It's like, I'm done putting work and effort into the people in the world who aren't telling the truth, who I find to be immature, who may be judgmental, don't want to see the truth about how in their Taurus philosophy of life they are kind of more caught up in the world or themselves or manipulative or controlling or deceptive or whatever. And I'm moving away. And then when you do that work within yourself, there can be other people that would like to be the next person to indulge in a relationship with you, because they can see that you're an emotionally mature, loving, nurturing person. And as you move forward in your life, there's going to, because again, you have free will in your Gemini energy. But I think high vibe people have learned to listen to these gifts they've been given, which one is listen to their intuition. One is not to make decisions more out of fear and insecurity and codependency or pride or ego. Because if you plant bad seeds and you have bad intentions, it will not be an abundant harvest that you thought you were going to get, right? So high vibe people know that what they bring is a gift of love. The devil wants to steal that away. The devil doesn't want you to shine your light, doesn't want your dreams come into reality. And as you move forward in your life, there's going to be people from your past that could pop up, people in your present, people in your future that are going, they're just a fallible human being. You know, the devil, human, in their human natureness. The devil can mean people are attracted to you. But the thing is to figure out why. And the pentacles can mean about investing time, energy, and effort into people. Taurus's energy in high vibe is acting with character and integrity, maintaining balance within yourself, knowing your truth, staying focused on your dreams, keeping things in perspective, listening to your intuition, not getting caught up in your head. And I think you will get to know people to figure out what their truth is and what drives them, motivates them, and their philosophy of life before you more indulge in them in like a love relationship. I can know lots of people at work, in my community, in my social groups that are people who stay in the friend zone. Can I be loving and encouraging and supportive to all those people? Sure. Am I going to get in a more involved relationship with you? No. I'm waiting to find out, you know, for the people that my intuition tells me are people that do challenge me to keep loving and believing and healing and growing and maturing myself and believe in my dreams. And who are those type of people within themselves? And who are the people that are more trying to tempt me in my lust and my greed and my pride and my ego and trying to deceive and manipulate me? And it's like, you know what? If I'm not, you know, we all can have people in our life that we're moving forward with. Taurus and Capricorn energy can mean that, you know, we're focused on more of the things of the world that are part of our dream, which can be our work, our stability, our security, the people that are in our life, that are working together with us in love, that do keep things in perspective and keep moving forward with us. And if there's not someone who's more of a romantic interest, so be it. All these other things are part of my dream that maybe I am meant to invest more time, energy, and effort into those things. I just listen to my intuition. And I could stay in shadowy energy. I could keep feeling left out in the cold. I could keep deceiving myself and not putting in. Earth sign energy is about putting in work and effort. I could keep waiting for someone to rescue me. I could keep deciding to keep feeling left out in the cold. Or I could see the truth of all the blessings in my life and all the lessons I've learned and how I am capable of being a blessing to other people. And maybe right now at a phase of life, I am supposed to be more focused on something else that I'm not. Maybe it's trying to help other people work through their fears or their insecurities, and that's supposed to be my primary focus right now. You know, the devil could have tried to block some people in my life from moving forward with me. Well, I can stay in blocked energy, and the devil has them caught up, and the devil has me caught up. Or it's like, no, I'm going to, while people are dealing with their own issues, I'm going to keep putting in work and effort to walk the talk. And I'm going to keep being loving and encouraging to people in my life, and keep believing in my dreams, and keep putting in work and effort to have my stability and my security. And as you do all those things, you know, other people, there's more people in the world that can be attracted to, because you're putting in that work and effort for those things, or growing and maturing yourself. Some people could call judgment and see the truth that some people were immature. Some of the people who did try to deceive and manipulate you now could be feeling judged. Sometimes when people are kind of shadowy and bossy or controlling or manipulative, they could have thought that judgment was going to go in their favor, but they really, again, when we kind of take action more out of pride or ego or selfishness or something, our judgment is clouded and we're not seeing things clearly, but they could have thought judgment would go in their favor. And they could have thought, I'm not going to be just and fair and loving. I'm going to act in these shadowy ways. And I think the people who I know could love me will feel left out in the cold, and they'll be confused, and I will get someone who is in high vibe energy to go into shadowy energy. And some people, sadly, you know, if they're not ready to be more independent and live their life differently, they don't want you to, and they'd rather do these hurtful or unkind things because they think you won't believe in yourself and believe in your dreams, that they're just sitting here waiting for you to like knock on their door and tell them you feel left out in the cold and you're willing to do the relationship their way. Because it got to that point in the relationship maybe where they had to deal with these issues and shed light on those things and quit letting those things manipulate them to be a more emotionally mature person, or to heal or grow or something, and they didn't want to do that. And some of them still don't want to do that, and some will never want to do that. I want to be kind of shadowy or immature or bossy or controlling. You can be loving and nurturing, just don't expect me to be that type of person. And when high vibe people could have moved away from some people, and they were kind of watching what other people and the choices and decisions they were making in their life, and the more they stood in their truth, high vibe Taurus is walking the talk and loving themselves, not letting the devil confuse them and make them act in more immature, shadowy energy. Kind of as time goes by, they kind of realize that your truth isn't my truth. And, you know, I did used to think, and maybe at one time, you were the type of person we were on the same page. But at any given time throughout our life, you know, moving forward in life, it's like continually kind of rolling the ball of life up this slight incline. It does take work and effort. And some people think, well, can I get in a relationship with you? And then how about you keep putting in the work and effort? And I really don't have to put in the work and effort. And I kind of get and indulge. And because you're this person who does put a lot of work and effort, I can just kind of sit back and indulge myself in it. But it takes two. And both people have to be willing to put in work and effort from love. It's like, can I just get the ball rolling with you? And then you keep kind of doing the work to keep rolling the ball up the incline, to keep working on bringing this dream into reality. But eventually people are like, you know, I do feel left out in the cold in this relationship because I feel like I'm the only one kind of putting in this work and effort to move this relationship forward. And I think you're kind of sitting back here kind of indulging in it. And I don't think you're working with me cooperatively in love. And love, if you're motivated and inspired by love, you should be putting in this work and effort to call judgment on this philosophy of life or viewing life where you don't think you have to. Or, you know, it can just be where maybe you put more work and effort into making your life more about your status or your ego or your image or your looks or indulging yourself in the world. And I'm supposed to keep putting in the work and effort to move this forward. And eventually, people aren't willing to stay in denial of the truth anymore. And just like some of you did that, and then you've been moving forward in your life, you could have communicated your truth to people. You know, this is how I'm moving forward. Who wants to move forward with me in this way? Other people could have communicated with you. You could have gotten in new friendships, romantic relationships, or jobs. And you're just listening to your intuition as you keep moving forward. And some shadowy people are fear of being judged, fear of living their more authentic life. They might, if they're people who have a lack mentality and just don't keep loving and believing in themselves, they might keep not loving and believing in themselves. If they keep taking action, not being authentic, and trying to manipulate and control people to try to get the things that they want, you know, people want people to be authentic. And other people have picked their path. We could be talking about some people here who, again, they don't want to pick a path. I want to live more from my mind than my heart as a strategy. Would I get in a relationship with the loving people? I would, so long as it doesn't get to be where they expect me to be that type of person. Could I get in a relationship with more worldly focused people, ego focused people? Yes, but then they can feel left out in the cold because they really want someone maybe to love them. Well, so they could be people that keep juggling. Capricorn energy is also represented by the Two of Pentacles. The Two of Swords that we talked about up here is Libra energy. And then some people in their Gemini energy, it is to pick a path, but some people can't pick a path, or they keep going back and forth, and they still aren't committing to what is the truth that you're going to build your life on. And some people want to be deceptive. I want to look like this type of person, but I'm really that type of person. And then people of both sides who have picked a path don't want to be in a relationship with them because they don't think they're really being honest. You know, it's like, if you're more about the world and ego and image and money, then be about it. And the people in their life who would like them to be more about it aren't willing to keep staying in a relationship if they think, well, you seem to go back and forth, and like then you might think that you want to, you know, if you want to do love, then do this work within yourself to grow and heal and mature yourself. But some people are like, well, no, I want to be with the loving people, but I don't want to do that. It's like, there comes a time where people got to pick a path. And some people who keep not willing to pick a path, and they keep thinking maybe people should indulge them, I think those people might end up feeling left out in the cold. They get in a relationship with loving people, but then they could be tempted more by things of the world, lust, greed, money, ego. Then they go chase after that, but then they could feel like they're missing out on being in a relationship with loving people. Well, those people have moved on. Well, then they weren't willing to pick the people that were more about the world. Those people have moved on. And then they're like, well, who's going to come pick me up? It's like, you have to pick yourself up and decide what your truth is. And until you decide what your truth is, other people are moving on with their truth, with or without them. High vibe people want to be in relationships with people who are high vibe. More worldly, shadowy people want to be in a relationship with people who are more about themselves or the world also. And then there's some of these people that just can't decide what they want. Everybody's kind of moving forward in their philosophy of life. And I guess the people that are more trying to deceive and manipulate people are still trying to deceive and manipulate people. High vibe people have dealt with people like that, and they're listening to their intuition about people like that. And they're not going to invest in them. Okay, what's coming up for the high vibe people? The Queen of Cups and the Emperor. Why? Because of the Ten of Swords. So again, the 8, the 9, and the Ten of Swords is Gemini energy, which is about seeing the truth of what needs to go, completing a cycle, loving yourself enough in the Queen of Cups to learn these lessons in life, because the Emperor has learned lessons of all 4 of the kings. I've lived my life letting my heart run my life, letting my mind run my life, letting my worldly nature, passionate nature run my life. And I have learned all these life experiences, and I've learned that when I let 1, 2, or 3 of those aspects kind of run my life, and I disregarded 1 or more aspects of myself like they weren't as important. But in tarot, we talk about, the 4 suits of the deck: the heart, the mind, the worldly nature, the passionate nature, the creative nature. All 4 are equally important, but we had to learn those lessons in life. And some people have learned those lessons of life. And they've learned, my emotional nature is just as important as my worldly stability, security nature. Living my truth is just as important as maybe like indulging myself in the world, like, oh, I can just, but hopefully some people have a conscience, right? And also people are creative and inspired and passionate, and some people disregarded that because I'm not going to go get in a job I love or in a relationship I love, because that's less important than having a certain job or a certain type of status or image or relationship, right? And also Aries energy, which is the Emperor, just like down here. High vibe people realize when I haven't learned to love myself and I have a lack mentality, I'm going to get in relationships with other people who, to their own degree, are in some type of energy. And I need to learn to love myself. Love myself. That's how I complete a cycle, and I can... a way of living life and viewing life that I was caught up in, that I thought for sure was the answer. I learned some valuable life lessons, and I learned that some people aren't motivated by love. Some people are more about themselves. Some people are more bossy and controlling. People can wear a false mask. Some people are more codependent and immature. And I have to learn to listen to my intuition. It was given to me as a gift to help me navigate in this world where people can present themselves any way they want, and I don't know the truth of who they are emotionally. And it could have made me fearful of moving forward at different times in my life until I really feel stable and grounded within myself to stand up for myself. Being an emperor within yourself is making good decisions in your life and willing to stand up for yourself. And maybe before, people weren't willing to stand up for themselves. And Gemini is about communication and love and your truth. I am willing to stand up for what I believe in and what my truth is. And I've learned to love my own more inner child nature, so I'm less in codependent energy and looking for people to play that role in my life. And if there was, ultimately high vibe energy would be Empress energy, and that would be a counterpart to the Emperor. And you could have had to learn some lessons in your more worldly or nurturing nature. You always kind of could have been a loving person, but you kind of indulged maybe poor behavior in people, and now have learned and seen the truth that to be a truly high vibe, emotionally Empress type energy, love, which is Libra and Taurus energy, it is to be just and fair and balanced within yourself and love yourself. Can be loving and nurturing with people, but you walk the talk and you require other people to walk the talk. And if they don't, no more illusions, no more deception, no more emotional manipulation. And you're looking to get in a relationship with people who are in that same energy, who have learned those same lessons. And if people aren't in that energy, you could have love for some people that you could look like a boss, are attractive, some of you dealing with an Aries, but if it's not truthful and honest and just and fair and balanced, and they haven't learned those lessons, you'd be repeating an old pattern. And I'm not going to keep staying left out in the cold. I believe the divine has a plan for my life. I'm going to keep investing in the people in my life who do work together with me in this energy. I'm going to keep putting in work and effort into my stability, my security, making good decisions in my life, and completing a cycle and moving on more in alignment with your truth and your dreams. And while you're doing that, some other people are going to keep repeating this old pattern because they're not there yet. And the people in your life that are there are the people who are investing time, energy, and effort with you to keep moving forward with you in this way. And the people who aren't, if that was their truth, they would be. I mean, they could be, that could be their truth, and they're moving forward with other people, and we need to accept the truth of that. Well, my dream isn't codependent on a certain person. My dream is dependent on working with other people who are kind of on the same page as me at the same time as me. And I see the truth. And there's some people in my life who are not on the same page. Some have moved ahead of me. Some are still behind me in the timelines of life. And I believe that this is saying you will complete a cycle and you will invest in moving forward in this way, and other people who are motivated to move forward with you in that way, you will meet them or are in relationship with them, and you will move forward with them in that way. And the people who were trying to be deceptive and manipulative, you're not being deceived and manipulated. People have to emotionally invest in being in a relationship with you to move a dream forward, or that you let that dream go. I can only work with people who are willing to work with me. And if they're not working with me, it could be because they're trying to manipulate me and get me in more codependent energy. I do not want to be in that type of relationship. I've already been in it. So if that's how you want to do things, then I will be done with you and I will keep moving on. And then the shadowy people feel left out in the cold because instead of being truthful and honest and authentic, they try to manipulate and control people. And then the high vibe people are moving on looking like a boss in the world while they're back here trying to maybe manipulate and control someone else. And the high vibe people look like their dreams are coming into reality in the world. Look like a gift to the world. Look very stable and abundant. And they're still back here trying to manipulate people. What's coming up for the shadowy people? We have the Knight of Cups. Why? Because of the Six of Swords. We kind of talked about that. The 5, 6, and the 7 of Swords is Aquarius energy, which I view the Snake card as like Aquarius energy. We have mental conflict in the 5 of Swords. I thought life was supposed to be like this, or I thought it was supposed to be more about me, or I make my life more about this. I'd have to look at life differently. I have mental conflict about the truth. I have mental conflict about love. I have mental conflict with it not being more about me, or about the world, or being able to manipulate people, or control people, or being more independent. And they keep, in the 6 of Swords, they keep thinking, I have an idea. I'm not going to become more independent. I am not the one who has to love me. Other people are supposed to love me. Or these other people love me. And they keep thinking those people love them, but those other people don't want them to be more independent. And they're not a child anymore. They're not loving and encouraging them to face their fears, to go be bold and brave and confident in love. But they keep thinking, no, no, no. This is the way to go. This is the best decision. I should make my life about this. I should keep moving forward with this way of viewing life, this way of viewing myself, this way of viewing other people, this way of being as my truth. And because of that, they can always have people in their Pisces Aquarius energy that harness this energy in a more high vibe way, that have hope and faith and belief in love. But because they don't, and they keep trying to live more from their mind than their heart, creating the illusion they're being truthful and honest and loving and authentic, but they're not, other people feel kind of left out in the cold in a relationship with them. Because I don't think you can talk like love, quack like love, act like love, but if you're not authentically being where it comes from within you, freely giving of yourself from love, I kind of feel like you're being deceptive and manipulative. That there's some other reason why you're in this relationship, or want me to stay in it, or you don't really want me to heal and grow and mature myself to become all I can be. And some of the high vibe people in their life are going to move on. I want to do love. I have hope and faith and belief in love. You seem to be more emotionally invested in it being more about you, or the status or the ego or the image of it. And I don't really think it's love. And so just like other people have moved on from more shadowy relationships, and the devil can just be that they're kind of frustrated. It's really challenging because I keep doing this work and effort to maintain balance within myself, to walk the talk, to not be deceptive and manipulated, or be deceived or manipulated by my own actions, or, to act in shadowy ways. The divine is working with other people. Some people have moved ahead of you, and as you move forward in this way, you'll meet other people that have went through some of these same life experiences as you. And then there's other people getting out of relationships that are moving forward in this way. And it's just to keep staying in the energy of love, believing the divine has a plan for your life. And the people you are meant to be with, you will meet. And then those are like, I have met the people that are more balanced between loving themselves, living more from their mind than their heart, being caught up and eluded, deceived by the world, who have learned to love themselves and ready to have hope and faith and belief in themselves and in others and in love. And those are the people I'm going to move forward with. And the other people are going to keep moving forward saying, that's not the truth. You should make your life about this. And they'll maybe go try to find someone else who they think feels left out in the cold to present themselves as this emotionally nurturing, loving person, which in a lot of ways they can be. But look at life from a higher perspective, really have hope and faith and belief in love? No, I kind of present myself and do all that so long as it's good for my ego and my image and you kind of indulge me. But if I really have to learn lessons in life and close out an old chapter and become more independent, well, no, this relationship's over. And I'll go find someone else to play this role with. But I really don't want to authentically align with high vibe Gemini energy of hope and faith and belief in love. I want to look like love, quack like love, but I don't really want to do love. And other people have already learned their lessons about people like that, and they've moved on. Some people are the new person getting in relationships with people like that to see if that's their truth, if they're willing to stay in a relationship where they feel left out in the cold because by worldly standards it could have a certain status or image or stability or security to it. Are you willing to give up your dreams for those things of the world? That is the decision. What is your truth? And some people said, you can have it. I'm leaving. It's too high a price to pay to give up love, to give up my truth, to give up my dreams, to not listen to my intuition. It's gotten too toxic and unhealthy. I can't stay in denial of the truth anymore. This is deceptive and manipulative, and I'm leaving. So there you go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.